Well, hello and welcome to the brand new season of Rocking Midlife, the podcast. I'm Kat Colucci. I'm your host. I'm a qualified educator, personal trainer, and life coach, and a champion of midlife women. And I am so committed to seeing women living on purpose lives and creating on purpose businesses that are a blessing to themselves, to their families, and making an impact in their communities. And I'm also the founder of the Rocking Midlife community and podcast. So I want to talk to you today about something that is so important, I believe, for women in general, but especially for women who want to be in business. So I'm talking about you entrepreneurial women that are out there doing it in business. What is one of the areas that can cause overwhelm in your life? No secret if you saw the title, clutter. Clutter has the ability to derail everything that you are working towards. And it can be clutter in your physical environment, at home, in your workplace. It can be digital clutter all over your laptop, all over your computer, in your inboxes, or it can be mental clutter of worrying about everyone's schedules and all the things that you should be doing. And what happens when you have clutter like that building up in your world? Well, it's been shown clutter leads to overwhelm, which leads to procrastination. So if you're finding that you are not productive in your workplace, you're finding that you just don't seem to be able to sit and focus on that thing that you need to do for your business, or you're finding that you're just feeling this sense of shame that you can't have people into your home because it's just such a mess, well, I want to challenge you. You don't have to stay in that place of feeling yuck about yourself, but there are some really key steps that you can do to break that pattern in your life. Start clearing the clutter out and start having the space to live your life and run your business of your dreams with freedom and with space to receive and to be able to give. Who's interested in that? Yeah. So I've been running a 3-day challenge over the last week. It's one of my Max Your Mojo challenges. And this challenge was called Declutter Your Life. And just over 3 days, we were just touching on certain areas. Obviously, you can't totally overhaul your life in 3 days, but we were breaking it down and giving some really key ideas. So day one, we talked all about mindset. Because if you're anything to do with trying to help people have a transformation, so if you're a coach of any description, or you're a teacher, or you're someone who's wanting your client to get from A to B, you're pretty already aware that it starts in the mind, doesn't it? Transformation starts with the mindset. And if a client can't picture where they're going, picture what they want, know exactly what it is they're aiming for, well, they're not going to make it. It's just like you're just throwing things in the dark. Day two, we identified the hot spots, and that's where we started to get a little bit more practical. But those hot spots weren't necessarily a messy wardrobe. They may be, but they might not be too. So we looked at mental, physical, and digital hotspots that are really causing bottlenecks in your life and causing you that shame and that horrible feeling of having this thing that you haven't got sorted hanging over you. And day three, we talked about planning your attack and putting together your schedule. There are so many practical schedules available on the internet of people who will help you go choose beautiful storage boxes and help you organize a certain way and have everything looking brilliant. And then you got Marie Kondo with her amazing folding techniques, and all those people are amazing. And all that information is fabulous. But it's still no good if it's not specific to you. And as someone who works as a life coach, I know it's all about helping that person pull that answer of what they want that's inside them already, pull that out to the surface. So when we talk about decluttering, I'm not giving you a formula, I'm not giving you a schedule and saying, here you go do this for the next 12 weeks. We're actually talking about what's in you, what are your goals, what is your hotspot, what's holding you back, what's the emotional connection there, and what do you want to achieve? And then we put the tactics to that. So I thought I'd give you a little touch today of just some of the things that we talked about, because the reality is We are heading very rapidly into the holiday season. And whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, it's cranking. Christmas is coming for northern folks. You've got Thanksgiving, you've got Halloween, we've all got New Year's, then we've all got 2021 coming on the back of that with all the New Year's resolutions, of which I'm sure everyone's going to be thinking, should I even bother with them this year, given how 2020 panned out? But the reality is when we look at clutter in our lives, it's something that generally we can solve. And while we might not be able to solve the bigger picture of what's happening in our world, it's something we can take back some control over. And that alone in itself will build encouragement and get rid of some of those horrible negative feelings that are, hanging over you as a result of it. So I actually talk about clutter in my book. So I'm the author of 21 Hacks to Rock Your Life. And as you can see there, I've got two versions. I've got the original version and the teenage version. And both were based on research. They weren't just out of my head. They were a combination really of research and my experience of working with people over the past 30 years, be that high school students, be that adults, when I lectured for a number of years, about 4 years there, be that raising my own children, particularly as a homeschooling mother, be that in the gym working with adults or online with all my online communities and online coaching. So I've got a lot of experience over a variety of different age groups and demographics. And I found some really key commonalities, amongst all people. And one is that clutter can be the very thing that is stopping you from getting out and doing what it is that you feel that you're called to do. So hack number 4 is actually called clear the clutter. It was right up there near the front because I don't believe that you can be productive, I don't believe that you're going to be able to not procrastinate and do that thing you're called to and live your life on purpose until you're prepared to face that and break that hold of that clutter in your life. So let me just read this first little sentence. Have you ever wondered just why you have so many socks when you're scrambling around in a hurry to leave the house but you can't find a matching pair? Or scratched your head in bewilderment over the clutter that has accumulated overnight on your office desk? It's times like this that someone finds themselves seriously considering becoming a minimalist. Now, minimalism is on trend at the moment with minimalist rock stars such as Marie Kondo becoming household names. And there is so much to be said about this decluttering that's now on television and everyone's looking at it, because the reality is clutter often is a physical representation of what's happening in your mind. And clutter, even the most innocuous clutter like a pile of socks, can lead to procrastination, depression, and low productivity. And if you are someone who is entrepreneurial and wanting to launch out and start your own business, it's something that you need to kind of get your head around now, so you've then got that space and that energy to go for that thing that you're trying to go for, rather than feeling shame and held back by this little white elephant. Well, it's not little, this white massive elephant in the corner of the room that you've not been talking about or addressing. I'll read you a little bit more. This is one of the people I researched for this area. Arthur L. Costa has a book called Learning and Leading with Habits of Mind. And in it, he discusses how the brain absorbs information through all of the senses, not just visually and orally. And we tend to forget that our senses of smell, taste, and touch, they're all ways of the brain receiving information of the outward environment. So they're informational pathways, which means our brain is amazing. It's receiving information from every area. But it's also problematic if it's getting overwhelmed with all this extra information that is distracting you from the task at hand. And that's called sensory overload. And literally, that is when the senses have just been bombarded and it becomes so much that you can't focus on that thing you're meant to be doing. Now, this really comes into play. You think about it. If you're sitting at your office desk, let's say you work from home, you're at your desk, you're at the kitchen table, but out of the corner of your eye, you can see the pile of dirty laundry over here. You can see the bed's unmade. Your kids left it in a pigsty over there. There's dirty dishes and things right in front of you. And on the table alongside you are papers and pens and all sorts of rubbish. Now, your senses are going to go into overdrive. And you might be trying to write a book or a bio or a letter or whatever, trying to focus on something that is important, that you need to be putting all your energy in, but your senses are being distracted by these other things. And the problem with that then is when you break your concentration to go deal with that pile of laundry or put those cups away or do whatever, it then takes the brain up to a good 10 minutes sometimes to get back focused on what you should be doing. And the problem then is that over the course of a day, you have lost so much time, and you'll find yourself at the end of the day going, I don't actually know what I achieved today, because you got so distracted by all these things and you're in sensory overload. So it's really critical that we deal with the clutter in our life. It's holding us back from being productive. It's holding us back from being creative. And it really holds us back from feeling good about ourselves. It's interesting, when I ran my challenge, in my Maxio Mojo group, the word that came out, and it was me that said it, but then another girl actually said, oh my gosh, that's me too, was the word shame. It's interesting because we women in particular, we battle with shame anyway. We tend to feel shame very easily. And often clutter can be contributing to that feeling of shame. And that feeling of shame then turns into worthlessness, and I don't feel good enough, and I'm such a failure, and you've got imposter syndrome happening then where, don't listen to me, I'm actually not a good person. This lie is going around your head, and it affects every area of your life. If you have that shame, it may be, hey, I look like I'm amazing as a business person, but please don't come to my house without giving me notice, because it's going to take me 2 hours to go around and clean up. There's shame that's associated with that. Hey, look at me, I'm going to tell you how to manage your finances and sort your budget and everything, but please don't come and have a look at all the stuff that I bought online and have to return now because I've just got a habit there. It's shame. And we need to break that shame in our lives. And the way we do that is by facing what it is that's causing that negative emotion. So in this case, we're bringing it back to clutter. So my first question I would ask you, and I'd love you to get out a pen and paper because I'm going to give you 4 questions. The first question I would ask you is, how does clutter make you feel? So it makes me feel shame. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me feel like a failure, like a bad mum, like a bad wife. It makes me feel like I don't have my act together. It makes me feel apathetic and lethargic because what's the point? I can't chase my dreams over here because I've just got this big monster sitting here. How does clutter make you feel? Number 2, how do I want to feel? See, it's one thing to go, okay, I feel shame. I feel horrible. I feel terrible with this mess. So give me the schedule. I'll clean it up and I'm on my merry way. No, you won't have broken any habits just doing a practical exercise like that. It's got to come back to, what do you want to feel? And that feeling's got to be the thing that's strong enough to help you then maintain what you've done. The best transformations I've ever seen as a coach in whatever area of life that the people were aiming for were the ones where they didn't only see a goal, but they attached emotion to that goal. And it became so strong and powerful, that emotion that they wanted to feel, that they kept on task, and they celebrated when they had that emotion, and they didn't want to lose that emotion. They loved feeling in charge of their lives, so they did everything they could to stay in charge of their lives. They loved in the gym feeling stronger and fitter and healthier, and they had a real emotion attached to that they kept doing what they needed to do to be fit and strong and healthy. So what are the things in your life that you want to feel? It might be just empowerment, in control. Have a think about that one. Right, question 3. What are my hot spots? What are the hot spots for clutter in your world? Now, when I was sharing online with some of the ladies, I mentioned my big hot spot is actually my computer. I'm an absolute information junkie. I love to read, I love to learn, and the problem is I start getting all the courses and all the articles, and I'll end up with 3 lots of Google, I shrink them up and down with 20 odd tabs in the top. Ironic, because I actually write about it in my book, about shutting down all the tabs so you can stay on target, because again, that's contributing to sensory overload. But for me, that is my big hotspot in the digital world, because I want to read and learn all the things. Yours might be your photographs. Yours might be, another one for me was birthday cards from my husband and my kids. I tend to hang on to them because I love seeing their writing, but I know that that box is getting ridiculously big. They should go. What are the hotspots in your life? I can guarantee you've probably got one of those drawers in your kitchen. I think every home has, the junk drawer. It might be a wardrobe, might be under your bed, might be a garage, might be your computer as well, might be your phone. Just a million different notifications and pinging and apps, and where you can get lost for ages trying to find the app that you need to do something. So identify your hotspots. And here's my last question. Have I got a deeper issue? So I want you to really think, why is that area a hotspot? And if you do feel that there is something, because we're sort of verging on mental health here, if you do feel that there is a deeper issue there that you're really concerned about, I suggest that please, actually, I don't suggest, I tell you, please go seek a proper health professional about this. But I'm just asking if you can identify here, is there an issue behind some of those clutter spots? So let's talk about my cards, all my cards and my photos. Well, obviously, my deeper issue is nostalgia. I love seeing my grandmother's writing. Nostalgia, how I feel, and trying to hang on to family times. That's probably what's behind that clutter. So that's something I've got to think about. How can I go forward? Not having the clutter, but acknowledging that need to have some memorabilia. Your deeper issue, well, my deeper issue is learning on the computer. There's another one. And I know my deeper issue is I'm someone who, when you do all those personality tests, I always come up as someone who really loves to analyze and research and learn. And my deeper issue there is it paralyzes me, because I think I can't take action on anything until I've learned everything. I've got to read everything about this before I can actually act on something. So I have the issue of paralysis by analysis, which I'm sure someone here will relate to. Otherwise, you all just think I'm a mad woman, but you probably think that anyway. So what is your deeper issue behind your clutter? Have you just got to think about hair products because you're so worried about your hair that you've got this abundance of hair products? Or is it books? Because you just have to have the book yourself in tangible form. You just have to have it. So you've got bookshelves overflowing of books. What's your hotspot? And what's it say about you? How are you connected to that? What's the deeper issue behind that hotspot? It may just be as simple as I just love shoes and I keep buying them. Might be that simple. Might be something deeper, but I'm sure that there's something behind it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. And my homework is go away and start thinking about how you would like to feel. And while you're thinking about how you'd like to feel, I want you to picture what it would look like to have that particular hotspot decluttered and looking amazing. And put those two things together. So you've got the picture and the feeling that goes together. The first thing I talk about in 21 Hacks is everything starts with the mind. And it's the same thing with cluttering. It starts with the mind. You need to be able to visualize what it is you're actually aiming for so that you're creating those neural pathways and changing your current thinking of it's useless. This is just how it is. You need to be able to picture it and you need to be able to attach it to a strong emotion that you really want to feel. And then you'll have so much of a better chance of not only decluttering, but it's keeping and maintaining that new system that you put together. So I encourage you today, please, I'm going to pop some links so you can get hold of a little workbook I put together with this. And I want you to have a read, have a think. What could you do to just, change up your life as we head in this second part of the year? How does clutter make you feel? How do you want to feel? What are your hot spots? Is there a deeper issue behind them? Acknowledge those things, because then we can move forward. Dealing with clutter is actually not about buying pretty storage boxes and making something look neat and tidy. It's so much deeper than that. But it's something that if you can manage and take control of, first of all, you recognize it, then you come up with a plan, and then you implement that plan, and then you maintain that goal once you've achieved it. It can make all the difference. It will create the space that you need to receive, to be able to give, and to be laser focused on that life and business that you are creating. So join me. Let's break this clutter monster now. Let's do this together. I look forward to seeing you on the flip side on our next episode.